Shaka laka boom is my word for the moment, because I have AJ on with me. And for those of you guys who are joining me on Influential TV today, those of you who have followed us on Influential TV, you know what Influential TV is about. It's about the influencers of the world who are awesomeness. So hence, I brought one of the coolest guys around. I actually got to do his podcast. AJ, when was that? That was like, time flies in my world. Time is just like, yesterday to one of my clients around the world, I was like, what day is it? What month is it? It's just like pure awesomeness. You don't have to keep track of time, right? So, right? Is that what you experienced?
Exactly. Time just flies. Yeah.
Awesome, right? So AJ and I just did his podcast recently. He's definitely someone who, as we've talked just a little bit, I was almost like, oh my gosh, I just need to hit record, because this guy is so much inspiration and passion and just lives in alignment with a lot of the beliefs that I have. Hence, he's on Influential TV. So what this is really about, for those of you that are joining us for the first time, Marci Influential TV is about those people who are really the epic examples of the world of living in this place where life is the belief system you want to make of it. It gets to be awesome in every aspect. And if you're not experiencing that, then there's something going on inside you keeping you from experiencing that. So we're all about sharing. What I'm really about sharing on the show is those people who really stand as influencers and stand in their passion, their purpose, their power, to really not only change the world, but just even in changing their own life and changing the people around them. So I'm super excited for you guys today to have AJ in your space. And for those of you who want any of the past TV shows or to be able to watch the show again, you can go to get the Marci app on iTunes for free, or at marcilockapp.com. You can also tune into marcilockdown.com to see what else is going on. And so AJ, and I'm going to say your name right because you told me how to pronounce it. AJ Mihrzad. I did it right?
Got it. Perfect. AJ Mihrzad. Yes, Marci. Thank you so much.
That's like the worst thing you can do as a host, is to slander the person's name, right? Yeah. So it's like, AJ, you gotta tell me how to say your name.
Starting off with an awkward angle, yeah, but it's all good. We're here. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here, Marci.
Thank you for coming and being on here. So AJ, versus me, I could go off and kind of tell you have your own book, The Mind Body Solution. You have several options. Obviously, you're a fit guy who's done the personal training side of things. You have everything from online solutions for people in weight loss. You also have things where you teach a lot of the fitness industry peeps how to go and do their thing online. But that does not really reflect an inkling of who you are. That's really not like that's what I love. And so I want you to be able to share what's your story. Obviously, because we all, to be in the place that you are, you've been through a process, an awesome little journey. We all get to go on these. I love how accents will just come out of me as well, just so you know. I'm just forewarning you. So share with us, AJ, your journey, or like really what you've been through to become who you are now and what you really do.
Wow. Okay. Great, Marci. Let's see how far back I can go.
When I was 2.
I was born on, well, here's where it starts. I guess for as long as I can remember, I've always lived a very limited, confined life. I was really pushed around by fear. Growing up, I was overweight. I'm my heaviest. I was 60 pounds overweight. I had these big chipmunk cheeks, man boobs, a big old belly. And I thought I'd look like that for the rest of my life. And that caused a lot of depression and insecurity and just a lot of self-hatred. Why did I look like this? Why am I not attracting the opposite sex? I was very shy growing up. I literally stuttered the first 20 years of my life. I couldn't even finish a sentence.
Wow.
And it was being in this place where I didn't love myself. And that caused a lot of problems in life. As I got older, I was really in a place where I was in a lot of pain just because I knew that I was not living to my potential. So I started to experiment with drugs and excessively drank, and that led me down a lot of negative paths, and had overdoses, and it was just a lot of things happened to make me realize that I was on the wrong path. So then I said, I need to make a change. I need to do something about this. And that's where I said, the most important thing and the biggest pain that I'm dealing with is my weight. So I said, enough is enough. I'm going to go to the extreme. At my heaviest, when I was 60 pounds overweight, I said, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get in shape. And at the time, it was just getting a 6-pack. That was my goal. I was in my early 20s, and I did whatever it took. I literally hired a personal trainer at the gym, and I really had no clue what I was doing nutritionally. I was eating nothing but like lettuce and turkey, just like anything to get the weight off. I'd be on a treadmill for 2 hours a day, starving myself, killing myself. And over time, just from pure willpower, I got my weight off. I was, very skinny, but I had a six-pack, and this took about a year. But something shifted. I realized, like, wow, I physically changed myself, but I feel so much more confident. I feel so much more energetic, and this is something that has changed my life. So I decided to really understand fitness and nutrition and devote my life to it, because I saw this tremendous transformation in myself, and I wanted to basically help others do the same thing. So then I went to school, and I majored in exercise science and nutrition, and that got me into the wonderful world of fitness and personal training to actually make a career out of it. But what ended up happening was I made this transition to now having a great body, and I thought, I had everything figured out, but I still had a lot of demons from my past coming back to me. A lot of things from growing up and, doing drugs and being in a place where I really abused my body and my mind. So I would fall into the same traps. I would go out with my friends on the weekend and then black out and end up in some ditch somewhere, or get into, these terrible situations where I would start doing drugs and would end up in the ER. So I was like, what's going on here? Like, I thought I just need to get in shape, and that was it. So then I realized there's another component up here that I need to fix. So I decided to go to the same extreme how I went into like fitness and nutrition to discover the world of psychology. I read every book I could about mindset. I actually went back to school and got my master's in psychology. How can I figure out this thing? Because once I get the mindset right, I knew that was it. I knew, because I already exhausted the body. I got into shape and it wasn't working for me. So once I started to really develop my mindset and really help my business, help my clients develop their mindsets, I started to walk another path. And it's really fascinating, and this, Marci, when you really go deep into discovering the mind and seeing how it works and finding out why we do what we do, it is not so much an external thing, but it's an internal thing. And the more and more I study, the more I realize that I don't really need to know much more, but I just need to listen within.
Yeah.
Down to understanding that when you get the inside right, the outside takes care of itself. So I was in a place where externally, I was trying to find peace of mind and happiness, whether it was through food, through alcohol, through sex, through drugs. But all this time, there was this quiet, gentle voice within me telling me what to do. But I was trying to fog it up with all this crap. Once I understood that I needed to listen from within and follow that intuition, then this whole new path in life opened up to me. So that was kind of like the initial steps of how I became the person I am today.
That's phenomenal. And you know what I love is the nugget that you helped really clarify is that everything externally showing up is from your internal world. So yet it's like everything that we do this so often, we seek outside of ourselves, hence going to food, going to alcohol, going to sex, going to, any type of anything outside of yourself to try to create peace. And so what you described is like run, go, 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 go. And the other day I was talking about this on a show, and I'm not even sure which one, where I was talking about most of us are so trained to look outside of ourselves because the true belief system that was going on with you before was, I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself that the knowledge is within. I don't trust myself that I know how to do this. And it also reflects the core limiting belief, which is I'm not good enough, because that's perfectionist identity most of us have lived in. So if I'm not good enough and I don't trust myself, I have to seek outside of myself, which is what we've been trained to do, right? And we've never stopped and trained ourselves to go within. And what you just described, I just want to share with you guys how powerful this is, because my personal clients that pay me $150,000 to have one conversation with me a week, a lot of times I'm like, you already know the answer. Just go inside. Like they're always like, what else? Strategy, this. And I'm like, let's look within. Like, have you just stopped and asked the questions? And the other day I talked about what I'm reflecting on is that we're saying, oh, I want money. I want this. And we're so busy going through the motions to try to get that. Like say that you're so busy going through the motions to get money, we don't actually stop and create money. And by stopping and just asking the question of like, what would it look like for me to create more value in this industry? What would it look like for me to create more customer service? How, and it's like asking those questions, the answer, the inspirations come, you follow through on that, and you literally would become the person creating the most value or the highest in your industry. But it doesn't come from going, well, what else out there? And who else knows this strategy? Blah, 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 outside of ourselves. It all comes from within. Love it, AJ. Awesome. So that's really like, so what would you say are, for people who are in the space where they're either struggling with their body or they're struggling to find that fulfillment and that inner peace and alignment like you've now discovered, what would you say were some of the greatest nuggets or the greatest tools or the greatest lessons that assisted you to do that now, to live in this space now?
So I guess I'll just discuss what works for me and what I do on a daily basis that really just has allowed me to create this lifestyle and stick to it. You know, and I think everything starts with your daily ritual. Mm-hmm. So what you do every single day is going to really exponentially lead into your life. So I realized that I had to create daily habits to really focus on my mind and my body. And they're a priority. Nothing comes in front of them. So for me, what really works, like first thing in the morning, as soon as I wake up, I start to journal. I journal the day before. I write down the 5 things I'm grateful for. I reflect, you know, if we have a great conversation like the one we're having right now, I would write down the insights I would have from it. I'd always capture it and make note of them to remember them long term, you know. Another thing, I meditate. I do this every single day, 20 minutes a day. It has profoundly transformed my life, and it is just simply reducing the static, the noise, the inner critic, and allowing that internal voice to speak a lot louder to me. Of course, daily fitness. I exercise, I sweat, I do something, whether it's cardio, whether it's going on an exercise bike, going to the gym, of course, some type of physical movement every single day. Most importantly, I also get into the habit of having a deep conversation. And this is something that I've found is very, very powerful, where I like to reach out to people, especially people I've never met before, and have a substantial conversation, really connect. You know, sometimes we're in our own thoughts, we're in our own world, but having a deep conversation allows you to have a synergy with someone else. You have these amazing thoughts and insights that come out of it, and afterwards, both people are left off better. So these simple habits I do every single day, of course, you know, having a sound nutrition plan and, you know, taking my vitamins and, you know, saying my prayers, you know, these things, but making sure they're done on a daily basis. The more consistent they are, the more permanent they are to stick. But at the same time, when you take these daily actions, they may not seem much initially, but over the you know, a year, 5 years, 10 years, they make a profound change in your lifestyle.
Yeah, and that's have you ever heard the analogy? I don't know if it's really well known. It's one that I use with my peeps of hitting a home run versus swinging singles.
Yes.
And so it's like we're always trying to like, oh my gosh, like trying to validate ourselves is really what this comes down to. See, you tapped on the thing a long time at the beginning of you didn't love yourself.
Yes.
And when you love yourself, that's why the external reflection was, you know, showing up where you were overweight, you weren't happy, you were sluggish. So then even you're like, okay, well, how do I put behavior and attention towards me and love myself? And you got more of the body, but then you realized there were still some things missing, which you got to create. So it's like we're so busy looking at hitting home runs in every aspect of our lives that we're not just doing the daily little simple steps. And I love the kind of the thought process around it being like you plant a seed. So for you, you said, okay, now I want to understand the mind. So we plant a seed, or somebody wants to get the body. And you can probably tune into with this on some of your key concepts of how you get people to do this. But where it's like we plant a seed, they're like, oh, I want the body. So I'm going to eat a salad today. What happens like, and then they're like, a week later, they're like, fuck, I don't have results. So, you know, screw that. I don't want the body anymore. And like, I can't have it because of my time, or, you know, I got an injury, or like we create all these excuses or validations or reasons just because we didn't have the harvest right away. Instead of planting seed every single day, which you're talking about, doing these swing and singles, doing these things every day, that it becomes a consistent habit. So then you eventually get to the home run in that area of your life. So that's huge, people, huge. It's just that daily action. A lot of things you said you do is what I do as well, as appreciation, meditation, all that stuff. So what else would you say is one of the biggest game changers for you?
Well, you know, we have all these areas in our life that we want to live at its highest potential, whether it's our finances, our career, our creativity, our relationships. And the same principle applies in those areas as well. You know, if you are in a relationship, it's making sure that it's constantly at a 10 out of 10. You know, you're doing the things you did in the beginning, all the time, all the effort, all the communication, the dates, the appreciation, just the tight bond, that beautiful love that you have in the beginning, consistently keeping that every single day, where you know, the old adage where it says you don't go to bed angry at one another, that applies. And that just says, because you're staying at this level of consistency, you're both all in, giving everything you've got. You know, it's the same thing with your business. If you're taking small actions on a daily basis, where you're putting out marketing messages, you know, submitting offers, getting people on sales conversations, sharing your passions, doing things that you're talking about your business, even if you're the grocery, you know, store, and you're telling someone, you know, if you're a personal trainer, if you're a business coach, and you're just having a conversation about that, that puts you in the conversation, in the flow. Although that person may not be a customer, but it attracts those opportunities into your life because you're always in that conversation. So I've come to find that the most successful people, the people that quote unquote have it all, are the ones that are really focused on those priorities in their life, their family, their children, their relationships, and they're doing something every single day to make sure that they're at their optimal levels.
Yep. Cool. I call it the core five. So I have you know, the body is always a priority for me every day, just like you said, it is for you every single day. Relationships, meaning my balance in relationships with my kids, with myself, is a priority every single day. Spiritual alignment and connection every single day, which is meditation, prayers of gratitude, speaking to God, studying that, etc. Business, which is my passion, my purpose. And then the fifth area that we include in my program is just accountability, meaning that the ways you set yourself up for success, whether it be you're holding your, we have core five sheets where we just, what are your focuses every single day? And it is that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, the people that I see that have success are there. I think that the disconnect, AJ, in society is that success is, oh, I have a successful business, or I have a good body. And so yet we don't believe that. It's like you talked about before, you got one great thing, but what happens to, why was there something else missing inside for more?
Yes.
Just a great body didn't give you ultimate happiness. So people like, oh, create epic, amazing, you know, avenue of income in your business, your passion or purpose. Oh, but I'm 20 pounds overweight and that's okay because of this. Or my relationships suck. That's what I call bullshit on. So yeah. I love that you're speaking the same message, that you're like, you get to be every aspect of your life gets to be a priority, or what's the point? It's not awesomeness if like one aspect is good and the other isn't. So how do you align yourself to doing that every single day? Is there, is that part of the message that you really teach, or what are you really passionate about sharing with people as you do this with your peeps?
Absolutely, yes. So I am a big believer in simplification. If you simplify, you multiply. And the only way you could have your core five is if you put those as a priority. However, you know, it takes work. Like I said, it takes hard work every single day, due diligence, consistency, to have all these areas of your life to be at optimal levels. But you need to start letting go of the things that hold you back. So I have this saying, this mantra that I always say to myself: be willing to destroy anything in your life that is not excellent. So anything that you're doing that is not aligned with your core five, get rid of it, stop it. If you're watching television, if you have toxic friends, if you're involved in going out to eat with people who eat like crap all day long, you know, get rid of those situations, get rid of those thoughts, get rid of those people, because once you eliminate the toxicity, you allow the pureness to rise to the top. And once you have the energy and the focus to focus on those priorities in your life, then it's very easy to create daily habits and to create structure. Because I think the common misconception is that, oh, you know, this life seems so structured, you know, you don't have any freedom. One thing I've come to find is the more structure and discipline you have, the more freedom that you create. You know, if you have a structure to say that, you know, I'm going to work on my business for these 2 hours uninterrupted, no cell phones, nobody, so I could spend the rest of the day with my family, with my children. Yeah, that's structure, but it creates this immense level of freedom. It's the same thing with your fitness. If you have a set time, you report to the gym, nothing breaks that. You're going to have the rest of the day to do as you please. So structure and discipline is very, very important to live the life of your dreams.
Wow, I love it. I love it. That's awesome. Super cool. So you kind of described the dark times of your life that you went through.
Yes.
What would you say, because you went through these different shifts of letting things go and moving towards just, finding out what you truly love to do? What are you really focused on right now?
What am I focused on right now?
Yeah, what is the passion that you're sharing now? I mean, I know I kind of described at the beginning, you've got a couple of different things going here, but you have so many truths that come from you, AJ. I'm assuming this is part of like the guys that you really coach or the people that you really coach, that this is so I'm wondering what's the big game for you right now that you can share with everyone?
So I guess going back into my main focus on simplification and getting rid of anything that is not excellent, a lot of what I do in terms of my coaching is showing people that they are amazing, unlimited, unstoppable. And once they come to realize that, their lives change in a profound way, because whether it's growing your business or having the most amazing body or relationship, it comes down to understanding that you have it right now. You have it within you to create that. But you need to get rid of all those layers that are holding you back. Let's just say, as an example, for a person's business or their passion, right? I truly believe that we're all born with gifts. We all have this superpower, right? So we have the superpower that is within us. And from a young age, it comes out in certain situations. And, it's this creativity, this energy. When we do it, time stops. Everything else ceases to exist, but we're just focused on that. So we have the superpower. And a lot of times as we're getting older, people tell us, let's say it's singing, oh, your voice isn't that good. Let's say it's dancing, oh, you don't have that much rhythm. So we start to listen to these new beliefs that people create about us, and we start to believe them. And we stop doing our superpower. Let's say we get into this, school system that's like regimented, and we start, just going with what society wants us to do. We have a 9-to-5 job, and we're living lives of quiet desperation while we're just going through the motions and waiting until we retire, waiting for the weekends, but we're not living our superpower. So what I like to do is to bring people back to that core, that moment when they were unlimited children and they had this creativity, this wonder about life, and they do what they're passionate about. But not only showing them how to tap into that passion, but also giving them the structure and the systems to monetize that passion, to actually get away from their 9-to-5 jobs, to create this lifestyle, this career that helps people on a larger scale, but allows them to live this life of fun and play where they're doing what they love, impacting people on a powerful scale, and just having the time of their lives, right? Because that's the dream. People want to create something that is deep within them, that they're so passionate about, that, they're in the flow state. So my main goal is you can have that. It's very simple. Simplify the things you're doing, find out what you're passionate about, what makes your heart sing, and do more of that, but also create a structure to monetize it. Don't do it for free. Do it in a way that, you could really leverage your time and expertise and just create this amazing lifestyle from it.
So you talked about a couple ways that you do that, but I think a lot of people can relate to being in a place where they're like, there's things that you used to love as a kid, and you kind of got off track, and you start to just conform to what society wants you to do or operate, or what we believe how it should look instead of what we want to do. What are some of the ways that you assist people in discovering that superpower? You can ask, you said, simplify. What does your heart sing about? But if someone's like, I don't know, I find a lot of people are like, I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, you do know. What if you gave yourself permission to know, and you chose for it to be fun and easy? Because a lot of times we've just blocked off those things. So how else do you help people really dig into that? Or, because it sounds like a lot of your genius is helping people step from that box of job mentality, do what I think I have to do, to, again, what's my superpower? I love that. I got lots of superpowers, AJ.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's why you're so successful, because you were able at a young age to tap into those superpowers and to really push them to their fullest extent. And you're evolving with your superpowers. That's why you are the person you are. And to go back to your question, how do you unleash your person's superpower full force? Well, there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And I'll share some quick actionable steps that a person listening to this interview could really implement quickly. First and foremost is going back to the core of our conversation of simplifying your life, starting to listen to that voice within. our intuition is so powerful. And if we are able to listen to that intuition, it always leads us in the right places. I mean, there's so much scientific studies that talk about our gut and what our heart, you know, there's just like so many powerful forces within. And if we could learn to quiet our brains and listen to that intuition, that's one step. So of course, getting into the daily habits where you're praying, you're reflecting, you're journaling, you're meditating, that's one step to chip away all that crap that's holding you back and start listening to that voice within. Number two is starting to question yourself. You know, if you have a coach or a mentor, that's awesome because they're going to question you. They're going to ask you what you do. And two quick questions that I like to ask my students right off the bat is number one, who do you want to be a hero to? Okay, so who would you like to influence? Who would you like to help? Who would you like to save? You're a superhero. Who do you want to be a hero to? So once you realize this is the person that I want to help, this is the cause that I want to focus on, then you can start to really focus on that particular person. So whoever you want to be a hero to, they have certain pains and problems and they're suffering from certain things. Now, how can you fix it? You know, there's a famous marketer named Robert Collier, and he says, you need to get into the conversations of your prospect's mind. So let's say you have a person you want to be a hero to. What are the thoughts they're having? What keeps them up at night? What are their dreams, desires, fears, frustrations? The more you get into their minds, the better you can help them, right? So you want to create something for them. The second question I have for you is, what pain do you want to heal in the world? Okay, so for me, when I first got into the world of fitness, being overweight, being unhappy with my physical body, I wanted to heal myself. I wanted to get in shape, and I thought that would be the answer for me. So by getting myself into shape and healing that pain of being overweight, I was so compelled to become a fitness professional and start helping other people with the same thing. At the same time, when I was a frustrated business owner and I was trading hours for dollars and I was not seeing the growth or the success that I wanted to, I started to really heal my own pain and find out how to market myself better, how to grow my business, how I could leverage my time and energy, my superpower to serve more people. And that is a pain that I've healed, and that is a pain that I'm focusing on. So what pain were you able to solve within yourself? And how can you take that pain and help others with it, right? Because you start with yourself. Once you master yourself, you could go and help someone else with that pain. So once you really, I guess, reflect deeply on those two questions, you'll start to see this path opening up in front of you.
So it's like, really, what mess did you go through that has become your message? And I mean, you and I both started in, so you started at a different time in your life. It sounded like you were a little older when you really said, you know, you stopped accepting the fact that your body was going to show up a certain way and you wanted to do something about it. I started at a very young age. I think I told you 4 years old is when I started the belief that, oh, if I don't have a good body, I'm not going to be loved. So I struggled my whole life growing up and, you know, proving that right and fighting my body and all those things. And so, but that pain, that's where and this is what I love and I feel like is important for people to hear, is you've expanded on that to such a huge degree, because you and I started in the same place reflecting around the body because that was a pain for us. So I believe that the body, you know, was the way that I was going to be loved. And so I fought the body. I became a personal trainer and was like, oh, the freedom of knowing how to work with the body. I want to teach other people this. But then I discovered there was so much more. Then I discovered, oh, there's a reason I continue to want to sabotage. And there's all this inner shit inside that's keeping me wanting to prove that right, or just to hurt myself, or like sacrifice my body, etc., and not keep myself in that space of feeling awesome with my body. And then that reflected to more growth and expansion, which now I'm like, holy cow, like my true passion is the internal game and the mindset. And you've learned so much of that along your journey that's what you're teaching too. So it's interesting. And I just want to share that for people, it might start somewhere, but by listening to the inner voice, like you're saying, you get guided and led to like what is truly there for you, what you are truly passionate about, what your genius is. And I believe we all have this genius. We all have zones of genius. We all have talents and gifts and abilities, but a lot of people, AJ, they don't choose to just stand in it. They stay in that, you and I talked a little bit before about the zone of excellence. They stay in the zone of excellence, or, you know, zone of good or great, instead of like finding what is the true genius that you have. And it starts by, well, what were the things that were my struggle? and how did I overcome them? And I think, you know, you said if you master yourself, you can teach someone else. But I think a lot of times people, they're just, even if you're a couple steps ahead of someone, you have the gift of teaching them what you know, and then there's more for you to grow on and learn and expand on, and it just becomes greater and greater. But so I think it's phenomenal where you're at, but yet you started with the body for a reason, and it's led you to so much more.
Absolutely. If you look at, you know, the upper echelons of success in any industry, you'll come to find that the mindset is the core reason why a person's that successful. So you have like professional sports, you have these world-class athletes that are just amazing at what they do, but the top athletes, the Michael Jordans and you know, the Troy Aikmans and these professionals are at the top of their games. Tom Brady, they're in a place where they've managed their mindset, so they could be in a very high pressure situation and react and not allow this chatter to affect them. So, you know, with any industry, whether it's like stocks, whether it's athletics, whether it's the Olympics, the best of the best focus on the mindset.
Yep, they train themselves on how to respond. They're in control. And that reminds me of a quote, a really good book, I don't know if you've ever read it or heard of it, is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Napoleon Hill, yeah, great book, yeah.
Such a good book. And he talks about how 98%, I believe, 98% stop after just 2 to 3 tries of trying something. And this is where we talked about the seeds every single day, planting the seed. They, you know, after 2 to 3 tries, they're like, but that a part of that was that those that stop themselves are those that or those that don't control their own mind. Like he phrases it as the devil only controls those who don't control their own mind. And you think of the devil could mean anything, but it's like your limiting beliefs. If I don't control my own mind of how I choose to respond, how I choose to think about a situation, how I choose to perceive it, you know, I'm not in control of my own mind. I'm just reacting to limiting beliefs, what I've been told, like you said, oh, you can't dance, you're not a really good singer, and all these things, and I don't control my own mind, then I become part of that 98% or 99% that really just lives going through the motions of life instead of living fulfilled in their pure awesomeness.
Yeah, I just thought about a great quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He said, your mind is a sacred enclosure where nothing negative can enter without your permission.
Wow.
I think about that all the time, just like Napoleon Hill, the great man who said where, you know, you have everything within you already, but it's other people's beliefs or their, you know, what they say about you and what you watch in the news and all this crap on, you know, reality TV that all of a sudden starts to penetrate into your mind and starts making your thoughts toxic.
And from the time you're little is really when we start to take it on, from just your environment and all that. So it's good to even evaluate, like you're saying, like looking around you and going, who you're really listening to.
Yeah.
And do they have the results that you want? If they don't, because like that's the power of mentors for me is instead of trying to reinvent the wheel or do it on your own and make it so hard, it's like someone can go to you and be like, teach me what you know. Because they're like, how do I discover my superpowers? How do I become this person who's living like you? I get to learn from someone who actually has the results, so that I can get there faster and easier, and I can actually have that as my result. And I know my life wouldn't have been shifted and changed so much if I didn't have mentors that, even from, like you said, from different books or different things, that go, like different perceptions about life and what I really want to choose to create and experience and expand on. So how you have your podcast now, when you say you're coaching your guys, kind of give us an idea of what are the things that you offer right now and the way that people can connect with you.
Yeah, sure, Marci. So I have a website. It's called onlinesupercoach.com. And on there is a blog where I like to share my content. A lot of stuff that I'm talking about here, you know, I have it in a video and text format. I also have video trainings for people that want to monetize their passion. You know, I really have a powerful feeling for working with coaches, whether they're personal trainers or health coaches, dating coaches, any type of service-based business where a person has a passion and wants to help people. Again, they want to be a hero to somebody and they have the pain they want to heal. Now, that's a great place to start. What I do is I help them now develop a business out of it. Now, a business requires 3 systems to grow and succeed. One is lead generation, the ability to attract the people you want to be heroes to. 2 is conversion, how to get those people to come into your world, see how awesome you are, and turn them into customers. And 3 is a leverage delivery system. So a lot of times coaches, they work well one-to-one, and there's nothing wrong with that. But after a certain amount of time, it becomes limiting. So it's great to have a one-to-one option. We also want to serve one-to-many. Now, how can you use the power of the internet, technology, this amazing software we have now to leverage your superpower and help people on a grander scale? So I like to teach people those 3 systems and how to systematize it so their days are spent doing their superpower. They're in their zone of genius, like you said, and they're doing what they love and serving people far more than they could do by themselves.
So what are what are your leverage models then? I guess I would say if you work with certain people one-on-one, you work with people in your groups or your masterminds, or how do you leverage your time and be able to continue to operate out of just your zone of genius?
That's a great question. I basically, I practice what I preach, of course. I have different types of models, but I have, one-on-one clients, high-level people that want to work, and are willing to pay top dollar to work with me directly. I have a mastermind, which is like a group setting, and I help people in a way that basically everyone gets results, but also everyone gets to see what other people are doing, and there's that dynamic, right? Because Jim Rohn says you are the sum total of the 5 closest people in your life. So that's your health, your wealth, your relationships, your finances. So how can I create a group of badass coaches that want to build their business, have amazing lives, their relationships, their fitness, and put them all together? So that's my mastermind. And also just doing a lot of stuff just like this, where we're not particularly looking for, like, I guess, a monetary trade, but we're just looking to add a ton of value to give a blog, a podcast, an interview series. You and I are both doing this out of the passion in our hearts. I mean, this conversation is also, we're getting a lot out of it ourselves for selfish reasons, but also we're having it to help people on a grander scale and not asking for anything in return. So it's the ability to set up these systems in your life, to create, I guess, avenues, platforms where you can just talk about the things you're passionate about and help people on a grander scale and just be in this place on a daily basis. Daily actions, adding a tremendous amount of value about the things you're passionate about.
So AJ, the thought that comes up for me is if you have someone is in the experience right now of they're not living life like you are. Something's missing, they're not fulfilled. Maybe they do have like a desire to like step into the box of running their own business, or maybe they are, but they haven't had the experience like you are, where it's like, and like I am, where it's like it's effortless and it's thriving and life is just awesome and there's so much to do and create. What would you tell them as your greatest gift of feedback to them right now to step into doing something different?
I'll tell them what worked for me. And the number one is getting a mentor, getting a coach. So when I first got into the game of trying to lose weight by myself, the first 20 years of my life, I couldn't do it by myself. It wasn't until I hired a trainer, then I hired a nutritionist, a person who's been where I want to be and will get me there a lot faster, right? So when I first launched my business, I quit my 9-to-5 job. I struggled. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know how to sell. The moment I put down $4,000, hired my first coach, my life changed. He told me exactly what to do. I took action. I made my investment back in the first month, and I kept on continuing. Ever since I invested in myself, I hired mentors, coaches. I'm in a mastermind. I pay $25,000 a year, right? Seems like a lot of money, but that earns me $250,000, easy, 10 times the investment. A month ago, I joined another mastermind. I paid $17,000, right? Because I know I'm going to make 10 times that money back, but it's the same thing. Sure, I could take 5 or 6 years trying to figure out on my own, or I could pay for a person who's been where I want to be to get me there a lot faster. And you and I were all about speed, right? So why wait? Why get into analysis paralysis, trying to figure out all these different options? Have someone who's going to guide you, teach you the fastest way to get there, and obviously invest in yourself to learn those skills and capabilities to be a better version of yourself.
Yeah, well, and the thing that I want to add to that is when you don't, people don't realize they're acting subconsciously. You're living subconsciously. So you're reacting and responding. Like we talked about how important it is to control your own mind and how to choose how you respond and everything that you do. When no. Out of where they're at versus having that person, like you're saying, a mentor on the outside to look within and say, are you open to this? Can you see this? It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was there. I didn't even know that that existed. So I 100% agree with that. And the thing that I think is so valuable about, because that's why my life shifted and changed as well, but is to have, there's a couple things that I think are key for anyone to continue to up level. And like you, AJ, I've been at the point where I've spent almost 40, 50 grand a month on my coaches. I've had up to 6 coaches at one time, from business to every aspect of my life. And I will always have a coach in my life, like, just because I know I am the greatest investment that I could ever have. I am the greatest asset, because, and I love that you pointed out that, because I get people that will reach out and they'll be like, how did you start this path or this journey or whatever? And I'm like, I was a $2 an hour waitress making, you know, I had $10 to my name. When I invested in my first coach, it was $10,000 to $15,000 with all that I did. It ended up being around 15, but I started off with 10. And they're like, and it was not, that would have been crazy to everyone. That would have been crazy. But again, see, you see it as the investment in your life experience. You learn what you're going to know. And there's that operate out of faith to know I can move forward and create it back. So like you said, you invested $4 grand and then you instantly within a month had earned it back and then some. So it's like, if we could step into see it as an investment in ourselves of what life experience I want to have. Instead, I think most people are frozen, and maybe you want to add to where you think this stops people too, is that they're frozen in the moment right now. What it looks like right now, and you know, what I have right now, and my circumstance. Instead, it's not really about your circumstance or the resources you have right now. It's about your resourcefulness. Yes. And where you want to go and who you want to be. And I believe there's gets to be an accountability is one of the greatest to catapult your life consistently. Accountability, an environment of support, like you just said, the 5 people that you're most around is who you're going to become anyways. It comes down to the skill sets and the mindset. But you tapped on all of these. You tapped on this. I mean, if you can be like, okay, I'm like, I break through the bullshit that says I can't have it. That's the mindset. But then what are the actual skill sets of how to do it? How do I run a business? How do I get the body? How do I do these things? So learning from someone who's already anything else?
I'm sorry, Marci. There's a little bit of technical issues. The screen.
I froze for a second. I was like, I asked you questions. It's like, he's like, I'm done. I'm out. This is like powerful.
Well, I got worried. That was really good. So I'm sorry. I missed your last question because
I was just saying, is there anything else you feel like is a part of that you really feel is powerful to add? And because you exemplified it all to me, the whole investment in yourself as to what you move forward and why you create and change your life. But I just want to know if there's anything else you feel like is a part of that for you.
I guess also what just came up to me is as we were talking, I was thinking so much about, you know, why we make the decisions we do when they're based on the past, right? So it's like, I've invested in a coach before and they took all my money. Or if I invest this money now and if I don't make my money back, you know, months from now, I'll lose it. You know, already like future pacing of the worst thing that'll happen. And as I was thinking about that, I looked at my wrist and I have something here that always reminds me to live in the moment. It says maximize this moment. And when you're living in the present moment, because that's all there is, this moment right now, all the answers come to you. So stop thinking about the past, stop thinking about the future. Obviously, it's the hardest thing to do. But if you read, you know, every ancient spiritual text, and if you study science, it's all about living in the moment. It's all about creating a life where you are not so focused up here, but you're focused here. And you're following your intuition and you're not letting your thoughts determine your life, because we have like 60, 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% of them are repetitive. They just go on and on and on and on. But once we learn how to shut off this chatter and just live in the moment, be there, and just take actions from that pace of clarity and peace of mind, then everything just unfolds in front of us.
Yeah. And the latest stat that I heard actually a year or two ago was, it used to be like we thought it was like 60,000 thoughts a day. It's actually 120 is the average. 120. And yet we only believe 80% of what we tell ourselves, but only 20% of what we hear from someone else. So you could be like, Marci, you're awesome. Marci, you're awesome. And I'm like, AJ, you the man, you the man, you the man. But if inside we're like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm no good, I suck, then that's what we're gonna believe, which is like mind blowing. And I love when I reflect on it, like the only moment is right now, is the phrase that I've heard that really resonates is, if you're thinking about the past and worried about the past, you know, then you're in the past. If you're thinking about the future, or if you're anxious, you're thinking about the future. If you're worried, you're thinking about the past. But it's like, it's always outside of you.
Yes.
Right now is the only moment. So like you just clarified, if there's ever this thought of like, well, what if what if we change it to excitement and curiosity? So it's like, ooh, I'm excited in this moment now to see what I get to create and move forward on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think another thing that just came up to me is just, you know, we're all goal striving beings. So we're trying to, you know, earn $1 million, be in a loving relationship, have the perfect body. And so much we make our goals external, and on a very subconscious level, we say to ourselves, when we accomplish that, then I'll be happy. Then I've made it. And we've all had those situations where we did accomplish those goals, and we're like, wait a minute, where's like the fireworks and all the magic, you know?
Yeah.
It's not there. But just coming to understand, back to what you're saying, life is now, and this is it. So this is the wild ride. This is the masterpiece. This is the heaven that I'm living, and it doesn't get any better than this. And just realizing there's no better time than this right now. And sure, I'll be happy when that happens, but this peace of mind and this fulfillment is not going to ever change. And once you embody that, you'll get more of that, and you'll accomplish more, but at the same time, you'll enjoy the journey there as well.
I love that. That was phenomenal to just think right now is like your heaven. It's like, enjoy right now. What else is that? So great. Cool. So what would you give people as the action for them? What would be your inspiration to them to take action to start living in their zone of genius, or be able to get to that space where they're fulfilled, and kind of the inspiration that you are right now to everyone else?
You know, what helped me tremendously was journaling. I won't get too deep into this, but I had a really, really tragic near-death experience about 11 years ago, and that changed my entire life. That led me to be the person I am today, and a lot of the attributes and characteristics I have. And the one thing that I got out of that experience, among just the big shifts and the new insights, was to start journaling, because I literally died and came back to life. So I felt like I was given another lease on life, and the ability to now reflect deeper and to live with more meaning, leave a bigger legacy, not just die and be a stump in the ground. Yeah. And from that point on, I said, I want to catalog my life. I want to reflect on every single day the things I've learned, the good things I did, the bad things I did, you know. So like, I've never missed a day ever since I came back to life from that experience. And now to look back on the past 11 years of journaling every single day, if someone were to say to me, I'll give you $100 million from your journals, I would not give it to them, because you see how much you evolve, you see how much you change on a day-to-day basis. You know, you think like, oh, a year ago was the same old, same old. When I go look back and I read my journal, I'm like, wow, that person is such a loser, because he worried about those things, and these things are like such a big deal, and they're insignificant, you know. But you get to also see, like, from a physical point of view, so when I eat these foods, this is what happens. When I work out in this way, this is what occurs. So every time I'm around this person, they make me feel like shit, you know. So you start to just become more aware of yourself, because back to the original point, like, intuitively you know exactly what to do. But when you have this conversation with yourself on paper, with the journal, even the writing process, your thumb is connected to your brain. So anything you write, whether it's an affirmation or a goal or just a new way of being, that transfers deeply into your subconscious. So I'm a big believer in journaling. So the one action step I would give is to start a journal. You know, maybe you don't have to be as meticulous as me, never missing a day, but just start to record the insights you have, the thoughts. You know, when you're really passionate about something, you get really creative about something, write about it, because that's going to start to open up that door to seeing what your superpower is and how to magnify that on a greater scale.
That's awesome. I love it. I'm a huge fan of journaling too. And a tidbit for those of you that are taking this advice that AJ is giving you, this golden nugget, is that your mind actually, it goes back and forth trying to prove yourself right. So it's like when you get something on paper and get it down, it consciously sees it for what it is. Versus in your mind, it's like bipolar. It's like, I want it, I don't. I want it, I don't. Because it's like, I want this, but my old beliefs say that this is comfortable, and that's what's scary. And so I'm searching for, you know, to prove this right, but yet you tell me I want it. And it's just like all over the place. And the moment we get it down, our mind goes, oh, I see it. I see what I want. I see what's going on. Like you said, like the reflection, it's so invaluable. And I think I see a lot of people when they do that, that's when, as they're opening up that flow, the things come out that they weren't even really expecting or asking a question for. It's just so much comes out. It like opens up that place where like, whoa, I discovered this and this and this. So I think that's super powerful. So thank you for sharing that specific. So AJ, tell us, unless there's one more, you look like you had one more thing you wanted to share. You're like, and?
Yes, just two other things that I do in my journal that have helped tremendously. One is a gratitude list. I started making a list of the top 5 things I'm grateful for. And is that such a profound change in my life, because it allows me to now in a week come up with 40 new things I'm grateful for. So I'm in a constant state of gratitude. And when I'm grateful for what I have, I appreciate it. And like anything, if you put money in the bank, it appreciates. Everything in your life appreciates. So you have this newfound happiness and joy with everything that occurs to you, good and bad. So top 5 gratitude list in your journal, very, very important. Another thing that's helped me tremendously was just getting over limiting beliefs or having negative thoughts. There's a really powerful exercise called the double column exercise. And back to your point of, we have 120,000 thoughts a day. 80 of them are crappy and repetitive and stories. So when you do a double column exercise, so let's say you're dealing with a significant issue. Let's say, for example, your business is not doing as good and you're not making the money you thought you would make in a month. So you have this story in your mind that your business is going downhill, you're going to end up broke or homeless or live back with in your mom's basement, whatever that is. You're creating the story out of this one incident that occurred. So very simply, you just put a line down a piece of paper, and on the left side, you put story. On the right side, you put truth. So this is a really powerful exercise. If you're dealing with something that's bothering you and you can't stop thinking about it, on the left side, put all the things that are imaginary, false, just figments of your imagination. And on the right side, put down the truth, facts, what's really happening. And the more you're able to differentiate between a story and a fact, the more control you have over your mind and over your destiny as well. So those are my 2 little tips if you do start a journal and you take this advice.
Awesome. Those are phenomenal as well. So I love that. That's a great one. So tell everyone watching, as we're wrapping this up, where they can find out more about you. Because I mean, you obviously offer lots of ways that people can just create, like have the value that you're here to give. You said you've got a blog, you've got all sorts of avenues that way. So tell people how they can find out more about you, AJ.
Sure. Just like you, Marci, I'm very active on Facebook, so feel free to add me there. It's very simple. Facebook.com/AJ Fit, AJ FIT. And I have a blog and a webinar website where basically you have all this information, a lot of stuff that I'm talking about. I create content to really give people the actual action steps to bring it into their lives. So right now, I actually have a report where basically it's how to systematize your superpower. It's a step-by-step process which goes over the ways where you could find what you're passionate about and then take that passion and turn it into an actual serious monetized business. The action steps to bring it out into the world to serve others, but at the same time, it'll serve you and your financial needs. So if you go to my website, it's onlinesupercoach.com/free report. You'll get that exact report and it'll show you the step-by-step process. It's a little cheat sheet. It'll give you an overview of how to monetize your passion, build it into a business. And also I have a free video presentation that shows a lot of systems that I use and a lot of my students use to really just take all of this amazing content and build it into information, products that you actually sell to people. So you're leveraging your expertise. You're not just doing the same thing over and over again physically for a person. You're now canning and cloning yourself, and you're duplicating all this awesomeness that you have within you.
That's so great. So I would love to hear from you real quick on, as we're ending, I want to know so the audience gets a clear reflection of this. What are your superpowers, AJ? What do you consider to be your superpowers?
It's a great question. I would say one, it would be inspiration. I love helping people. I think from being in a place where I lacked motivation, I was very insecure, lacked confidence. I love to inspire people, and I inspire people by speaking to them, by teaching them, by writing, creating videos. So any way I could create content and teach people, that is my superpower. I feel also just from the years and years of, I guess, living by example, I'm a very big believer in living in integrity. So there was this little story about Gandhi, and someone came to him and said, Gandhi, could you help my baby or my son stop eating sugar? And Gandhi said, come back in 2 weeks. And he goes, wait, come back in 2 weeks? Come back in 2 weeks. And then the woman goes, takes her child, comes back after 2 weeks. And then, Gandhi, you said come back in 2 weeks. Can you teach my son how to stop eating sugar? And then Gandhi says, stop eating sugar. So the woman's like, wait a minute, I just came to you 2 weeks ago. Why didn't you tell him back then? He's like, I had to stop eating sugar myself, you know? Gandhi was a great man of principle, of integrity. So that's one thing I pride myself on. I guess it's a superpower that I will not tell someone something unless I've done it myself. I'm very big on practicing what I preach. If I teach something, I do it myself. I'm a guinea pig. I test it. Once it works, then I'll tell you to do it. So those are the main ones that come to mind. Marci, what are your superpowers?
My superpowers are, I love that you asked me. That's so sweet of you. My genius is, for whatever reason God gave me, is seeing deep inside the inner game, like understanding the deep internal belief systems, roots, identities, how they all interlock and interplay. So I can hear, it's like I talked to one of my personal clients today, and they're saying something on the surface up here, and they want strategy, they want this, they want that in business, and I can hear what's going on inside that's completely keeping them from manifesting it. So that's one of my superpowers. The other one I would say is just being pure energy of awesomeness, because, you know, I love, and this is this actually is teaches me to train my energy every single hour, tune into what I'm creating and what I'm manifesting. But one of the things, as I'm thinking about this, AJ, and I think this is great to kind of really end on and reflect on, is you discover your superpowers through your journey. Because when I was living in that place where I had no confidence and I didn't love myself and all that, I didn't know who this person was. So a funny joke, when I first started my business and I created these, my first product was, I'm trying to remember the name of it. Was The Whole Truth About Weight Loss. And it was these DVDs that taught how to live in the behaviors of the body. It didn't include any of the mindset, which obviously is what my real passion has become and is a part of it, in the behaviors with the body. And so when I first started my mind-body breakthrough process, and it used to be in gyms years ago, they'd get access to these old, these I call them old now, but they'd get access to these DVDs teaching just behaviors to kind of give them support as we started the journey with the body. And they would laugh their asses off at how I was like, this is how you lift weights and this is how you eat food. And I was like, I was such a different person because I was living in that place where I was worried about judgment or rejection, and I was perfectionist identity that had to show up a certain way so you wouldn't judge me and so you would love me, and I was too scared to be me. I didn't know who me was, right? And now it's like, so then, you know, it was such a different story to where I'd be on TV and things would come out of me that people would be like, did you just say that? And I'm like, yeah, apparently I did. It's just me. And I'm like totally okay with it because I love myself and I'm just me. So I think one of the things I love is being that person that shows other people it's okay to be you in every single way. And a lot of people will say that to me at events. They're like, you obviously don't care what other people think about you. And it gave me the thought or the freedom that, you know, I can be myself too, and it's okay. And it's like Marianne Williamson saying, we're not really scared of like our limitations. We're scared of standing in our greatness. And when we do, we give other people the freedom to liberate themselves as well. So those are a couple of my superpowers. Thank you for asking and letting me share, AJ. Yeah. So for those of you guys, again, that want to tune into, and AJ, you are definitely a genius of inspiration. Like, this has been so much fun, and just to hear you, and just like you do, you light up everything and you light up the room, and that's like, you give people that motivation to go, oh my gosh, I want that happy. And that's exactly what influential TV is about, is people living and happy, because we choose happy, but happy in all aspects. Not just like settle for happy, settle for good or great, or convince ourselves that, well, this is as good as it's going to be, but literally, truly, you're inspiring people to live in their awesomeness and live in their superpowers, which I love that phrase and terminology, is find your superpower and live in your superpower. So I would suggest all y'all go find out what AJ's got on his blogs and his videos and things to just be inspired and be able to, I love that you give value in the tools of how to as well. Mm-hmm. You're not just like rah, rah, rah. Like, let's give you some strategy, even the tips that you shared on journaling and some different things you can do. It's all super powerful. So again, they go to, tell them the link one more time to get access to all that stuff.
Access to all that stuff, very simple. Onlinesupercoach.com/free report. And you log in right there and you'll get access to all that stuff. The report the whole infographic on how to build your dream business based on your passion, and also a free video presentation on how to set yours up. Simple step-by-step plan. I'm all, just like you said, I'm all about giving people the actionable steps, because theory can only get you so far, right? So it's all about what steps do I take to make this reality? Here are the steps. Take action, make it happen.
Awesome. See, there's a reason why I let you say it. Like, let a super coach. All I know is super coach awesomeness. This is phenomenal. AJ, thank you for taking the time to be here today and connect with me and just like share your inspiration, because it's exciting, and you're an energy of light and joy. So I honor you for that.
It was an honor to be on your show. I had such a great time. I mean, you just lit me up. You have the amazing gift to, like, you know, put that match on. All of a sudden, I'm all flaming. I'm fired up. So thank you so much for that.
Well, what's awesome is you just exemplified what it truly is like to be in your zone of genius. You're on fire. You're doing, like you said, listening to your heart, letting your heart sing, and you show that. So that's what it looks like, peeps. So if you guys want to get access to this show again, to share it with other people, obviously you know where you can follow AJ, but you can go to marcilockapp.com to get the Marci Lock app, which his show there'll be access to it on there. Also on iTunes, or marcilockdown.com to see what else we got going on. So AJ, I love you tons. I'm excited to connect more and to see all the awesomeness that you continue to create. Thanks for being here.
Love you too, Marci. Take care. Bye.
Lock it down, peeps.